Welcome back. As we continue to talk about different aspects of our community being impacted by COVID-19, we want to talk about people with pre-existing conditions. Christine Garcia Rubin actually caught COVID twice last year. She's also a double kidney transplant recipient. We talked about her story, her journey, and we also checked in with Quin Works, who's with the National Kidney Foundation, about what they are doing and have done in the midst of this pandemic. Christine and Quin, both of you, good morning, and so very nice to meet you. Christine, we want to ask you a question first. You had two kidney transplants, one in 1991 and then one in 2006, correct?
Yes.
In and of itself, that's certainly insurmountable, trying to think of just how you were able to cope, with that. But then you have the onset of COVID-19 last year. Tell us about that and how it impacted you.
I'm on anti-rejection medication, so I'm immunosuppressed. So I'm at a higher risk of getting something like COVID and having serious complications. In the beginning of 2020, in March, I did get COVID. And I only had, luckily, 5 days where I lost my sense of taste and smell, and I was knocked out, pretty much just really exhausted. But other than that, that's all I had. So I consider myself extremely lucky and was doing fine, taking all the precautions that, we all take. And back in December of last year, 2020, I then unfortunately got COVID again, not sure how, because I was super careful. But at that time, it was a lot worse. The second time, I had a lot of flu-like symptoms. I never had a fever, but I felt horrible. I was, vomiting. I was knocked out. And I think that for a good few days, I was pretty scared, but nothing that made me have to go to the emergency room. I kept in contact with my physician, with my nephrologist, and I just followed what they told me to do. And so I was fine. The only thing is I've talked about was, they talk about COVID brain or the fog. And I definitely had that for a while, quite a while, which was a bit scary. But since then, I've been fine. I got my first shot of my vaccine 3 weeks ago. Today, I get my second shot of the vaccine. So I feel a lot more confident and a lot, certain that I should be fine. Based on my background, it's definitely important.
Knowing that you had an underlying condition, did you have concerns with your doctor about this as you were navigating through, even before, or maybe even between the two times that you caught it? And we're so glad that you survived both of those instances.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I really do. I see my doctor every 3 months, so they're really on top of my health. So I did, when this all started, I asked a bunch of questions. I used National Kidney Foundation, started doing these amazing webinars for kidney patients, for family, for friends. So I got a lot of information there as well. My doctor actually spoke during one of the webinars. So I talked about what my risk was. I took all the necessary measures. I kept away from family, from friends. And then when the second time, his main concern was he didn't want me to go to an emergency room or to the hospital unless I really couldn't breathe or, just had really awful symptoms, because he was worried that it would, be worse. It would become worse. So I did keep in contact. I always do. And so the second time, I talked to him often. He guided me. My sister's also a doctor, so that also helps. And so I felt confident that I would be okay.
Let's bring Quin into the conversation now. Quin, I want to ask you, stories like what we're hearing Christine share, how common have these been?
I believe they've been pretty common. The thing about kidney patients is that dialysis never stops, right? So throughout this entire pandemic, while the world shut down, while everyone was in their homes, patients were still needing to go to dialysis. So they were still putting themselves at risk for catching COVID-19. And then once in the a lot of patients have to take public transportation to get there. So you're exposing yourself on the bus or on the subway or wherever it is that however you're getting there. You're exposing yourself once you're in the dialysis center. You're exposing yourself when you go back on your route home. So we definitely have seen a lot of kidney patients that have been impacted by COVID-19. And then as transplant patients, who are compromised and immunosuppressed, right, they're also at a higher risk. And I think that's kind of what Christine, unfortunately, having to have gone through this twice, perhaps that's part of what played a part of that is, having that suppressed immune system. And it's truly unfortunate.
Christine, we are happy you're here with us, having gone through what you've gone through, just your whole health journey. I want to ask you, what have you learned differently about yourself over the course of the last year?
I'm a lot stronger, more resilient than I thought I was. And I also, it gave me opportunity to take another bigger role actually in the National Kidney Foundation, as Quin was talking about. I was volunteering. I was able to devote a lot more of my time to the National Kidney Walks and to being a peer mentor. So that's been great. I really enjoy that. I'm changing my career to fundraising. I had already started before that, but this really solidified that I was making the right decision. So
nice of you both to share your stories with us. Quin, we've got kidney.org. We will make sure we get that out to all of our loyal viewers at Fox 5. And on behalf of everybody at Fox 5, Quin, we just want to thank you for all that you're doing, trying to take care of, again, this aspect, these members of our society. And Christine, you look great. And we don't want to make you late for that shot, so we're going to say goodbye to you now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for today's show, everybody. We want to remind you to stay safe, continue to wear your masks, practice social distancing, and if you are eligible for a vaccine, please sign up to get it. You're doing yourself a favor, your loved ones a favor, and ultimately our whole world. For all of us here at Fox 5, I'm Antoine Lewis. We'll see you next time for more Street Talk. And as always, thanks for the company.